Hey folks, I think I figured it out. So you notice how I'm not freezing right now? Okay. The problem with the adapter that I was using, which is on the floor and I'm not going to go get it right now, is it uses the USB, it's the USB version of the cam link. And because of that, it overloads the USB bus on my motherboard. Wasn't a problem with the previous one, but I think I was actually plugging it in somewhere differently on the previous one, not shared. So I suspect that that is what the issue was. Because now that I'm plugging it in just straight HDMI into my game capture card, all good. Unfortunately, that also means that when I go to do the game capture card thing in the future, I probably need to sell this one and get a new one. Maybe even try selling the Cam Link as well. The more I mention it, the more I realize that's a good idea. So with that out of the way, yeah, got my music playing. You can't hear it obviously because YouTube will destroy me if, or Twitch even these days will destroy me if it's playing. We'll just stretch this out. You never know. Maybe. Nah, we'll just shrink it down. Apparently it resizes depending on the song that's playing. That's fine. Right. So the plan is, and I just want to check something real quick. Yes, we do have the sync offset because you wouldn't believe it, but that camera takes about 200 milliseconds to get into the system. So assuming that's still true, which I think it is, although it looks like it might be faster now. Oh, I may have to fix the audio so that it's not before me. Who knows? Basically, what happens is there's a 200 millisecond offset between my audio and what you see in the video. And when you have that, that's about the point where at least I start noticing it, and I imagine other people would too. Anyways, so what we're doing today, we're going to have a nice, exciting, high-impact day of making an abstract version of our GUIs that we're using. It's going to be the basic version, so we're literally going to call it a basic GUI. And it should help us consolidate the like functions that we have in these. So we've, as we talked about this before, I vaguely remember it at least, we have the init function that they were all sharing, and we also had this toggle canvas, which does suggest that maybe it wouldn't be so much an abstract as just a base class in general. But matter of fact, we can just start there and then work backwards. I'm thinking real quick, because this will not be shared, I don't think. No. So yeah, toggle canvas will be shared. The init function will be shared. Well, we don't necessarily want to enforce design for toggle canvas. We just want to know that it's accessible, and then we can make sure that the developer, who's me, will in the future use it properly. And then we got these room selector. The room selector, I suspect, also has an init and a toggle. It does. So let's grab that up there as well. So yeah, just up here in the GUI section, we're going to add a new class, and we're just going to call it basic GUI. Because who knows, in the future we may have more complicated interfaces, which will probably be true because we're going to start moving in to 3D art, pages flipping, and stuff like that. We may make the first pass of the page flipping once we get to that point very simple, but basically it'll be a tween where you take a 2D. Can I get my fingers over here? Yeah, I can. 2D image, just a image, probably literally, and as it folds this, so as you shrink it down to 0, once it hits 0, you would change the art on it, and then either stretch it back out, or when it hits 0, we have another image that actually expands back to its normal shape, and so you can just keep doing this sort of pattern. That's likely what we'll do first. Any sort of complex page flipping with meshes and stuff would come later, if we do it at all. And all right, and we got public abstract void init, public abstract void toggle canvas. And I think those are the only things currently that these all share. Yeah. And then down the road, maybe we would sort of extrapolate from that into selection canvases or selection GUIs and editor GUIs, sort of like we've done in other parts. But no need to go too extreme. Right. That's what it wanted. So we just need to switch those to overrides. You forget sometimes, you know? And that's fine. I would never tell somebody they need to memorize this stuff. You forget, you get a error message of some kind or a line, and then you know what you need to change in the future. Not a big deal at all. People who make you feel like you need to memorize it all are just fools. Whoop, did I do it backwards? No. It's just that we haven't done it here. I think it's probably mostly just a, how do I put this? Basically, people want job security, and the way that they do that is by overcomplicating their profession. Because if they keep it complex, then they can keep people out, and if they can keep people out, they don't have to have as much competition. And part of me thinks that's why guides for development are often so complicated, because people are trying to make it seem complicated, even though it's not. It can get complicated as you start doing more and more clever things, but we could probably get rid of these buttons at this point. But it is hardly necessary for it to be complicated. At least not in my opinion. Now there's a few things that each of these share that we can start adding to the abstract once we get there. We're just kind of going through right now and cleaning up the functions because they got a little messy as I was experimenting and figuring out what I was doing. So I'm just putting the toggle and the initialization near the top of each one so that when I go to look for it again in the future, it's easy to find. And then from here, we can look at these real quick and see that we are, when we toggle the canvas using the container. So what I'm curious of as I look at these, oh, this one was not moved up. That, yes. So as I look at these, I see that this one is doing the container, this one's doing the container, that one's doing the container. This is the only one that isn't. And so I think we want to adjust that. And our containers are a rect transform. Oh, oops, hold on. Again, going back to the whole forgetting thing, need to look at a few of my own abstracts once it compiles. So those were interfaces. And that's something I need to clean up later. Dim variable. Where did I have that? You know, when you can't remember, you can just F12 that bad boy. Okay, so it's just private or public. That's fine. Pretty good. Pretty good relaxing jingle. I think we can give that a thumbs up. Oh, weird. Did it like... Oh, never mind. That pause and... I was looking at the restream GUI and it threw me off. Public rect transform GUI container. We do a tooltip. There we go. And obviously you could do some kind of getter, setter stuff, but I think for the purposes of this, as I contemplate it, I think this is fine. Yes. Excuse me. Save that, and we should get a message on these other ones. Yes. Oh yeah, I guess we could serialize it and make it private. I believe that still works. We'll find out. If it doesn't, that's fine. Because it might need to be protected. Yes. And I believe that is the case. Sorry, just thinking for a moment here. Is it internal? Et voilà. Magnifique. So get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. And indeed, that one as well. And we are finding that this is always the same, which does suggest to me that while this is currently an abstract, it could possibly be, because I don't think... Does it mind that? Public void. Boop. Ah. Well then. And I believe you'll allow me to make this virtual, just in case. You will. Wow, what a time to be alive. So now we can actually go in and... Oh, interesting. You know what? Do I want everything to have access to game data? Sure, why not? We're making this for ourselves after all. There we go. And down here we can come in and steal this line, because it's a good line if I do say so myself. And we would want to check this value. So you would allow raycasts if it isn't on. Yes. Because if it isn't on, then the opposite of that is true. Alright, so we can just delete this one. Go in here, delete this one. See, we're already cleaning it up a bit. And I don't think... Yeah, we can move has in it. Okay, and go in, clear that out. Get rid of the game data, because now that's in all of them. Yep, can nuke you. Ooh, I don't remember why I have this coming in and out right now. Guess we'll find out later. Maybe I didn't need it. Yeah, maybe not. Gonna have to watch those old videos, find out. Okay. Oh, it's not even serialized, so we shouldn't see it in the inspector window. Let's go find out. I always look here, but you're up there. Also, casual observation. My hands are very low because I've actually got an enormous amount of space, so. Oh, wrong way. Yeah. Casual observation is now you can see this part of this slip. We can fix that. Like magic. Alright. That's a bit better. Now I want to use my hands. you can see him. Hey, cool. Right, so we were going to check our canvases. Give it an open. Okay, so that one is visible. That's the debug manager. We don't care about you. We're here for these. Right, so the GUI container. Ah, it's all coming together. So in most cases, the container is empty, containing the group. In this case, so we should move the image down one. And we can just move this like this. Drop this in here. Switch this to spread out. Be its best self. Yes. And then we can just turn that off. Drop the container in here. Go in, comment this out for now because we are clearly not using it. I think it was header, right? Yeah. And we should see that update here. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, because this part's not serialized. Yes. So if I put it here. There we go. Very nice. That's our events. And in the case of these guys, they've got their events just sort of strapped to them, which is fine for now. Now let's go look at what else they share. So each one has a target group, I believe. Yeah. Is that also a layout group? Now, does layout group inherit from a... It does. Okay. Layout group. Child all of our prefabs. And we can go through here and just start noodling these away. And down here, we're going to switch this to target layout group. Ah, but it needs to be .transform. That's fine. So really, the layout group could be just a transform. Or prefab parent. That seems fine. Because realistically, at the end of the day, that is what we're doing. Is that possible? It is. Good. And we'll go over here. Same deal. And once again, this is allowing us to come in and strip out a bit more, just so that every class is nice and tight. It does what it should do, and not anymore. It allows us to focus on just what they're doing. So now, before we forget, let's go back to the classes themselves. And let's fix that new container that is no longer properly referenced. I assume for room selection it was this one. If we're wrong in a few places, I think that's going to be okay. Oh, is it always? You know, it may always be the container. You know what? Let's go off of that assumption real quick. And let's see how it goes. At least for the room, it would be incorrect. Because the layout group is actually down here. Vertical layout group. So the backdrop could actually be on here. I'll drop that. And the grid layout group itself could be... Ah, it's because I have two different things on here. And the way we were doing that was we had the list on the side and all the 4 rooms over on the right. Well, let's move that in there. And I don't believe any part of this is referencing the room info cell, so that's fine. So we'll go through and do a bit of quick checking to make sure that everything is properly working, or at least as well as we would hope that it would. So when we look at the room selection GUI, we can see that it is not generating what we would expect, which is not the end of the world, just a matter of doing a bit of debugging. So we do have the info cell, which was big ol' whatever. So room catalog. We should check and make sure it does have 4. Okay. And we should also make sure when we open this that those rooms don't end up... Oh, they don't end up here. So far so good. Let's save. I'm going to attach, do a bit of the old debugging. It's possible what we need to do going back to the room is reconfiguring it, that's the technical term, to make it more like its siblings. Because the adventure book, obviously, is looking relatively good. This is obviously not correct, but otherwise. Oh, once you're at this stage, right, because we haven't put in the logic for that yet. Okay, that's fine. So we open up the room selection, and we notice immediately that this initialization call is not triggering. So then we look at the event calls, and we see that it is toggling canvas, but it is not initializing. And we recall, going back to our other objects, that they do both. So that's where we were messing up. And because it's all so similar, we were able to figure that out pretty quick. And that's kind of what you're hoping for. You want to be able to find your bugs quickly. Toggle init, and I imagine that the order doesn't actually matter, but... And what the hey, we might as well just attach that there for now. There's only one. It's not like it's hurting anybody. Do we have these together? We do. So what is the big difference here? Is it because the canvas is on a separate level? It is. Okay. So let's create an empty room selector. And I believe they are anchored. You go down here. You go here. Grab those in. Toggle. And initialize. Awesome. And then the container would be a child of that. And now things are starting to look more familiar. Yes. Trippy song. Yes. So now, when we open it, it should still look weird because we need to fix it. Yes, I would expect that. Hey! That's what we want to see. And then this container... This should be there. Looks about right. And the width of this is about half as much as it should be. Yep. So 860. Negative 550. Yeah, that seems about right. Okay, so copy component, paste as values. We'll disable you for now because we're not quite sure. We'll have to check the video again on that one. I don't even think I had that hooked up yet. And then... Right, that's why I'm getting so confused. Okay. Give that a save. Let's take a look. Ah, yes. There we go. That is looking better than before. I feel like that could go to like there. Nah, 56 looks way better. And then 56? Is it 56 for all these? Whatever. Oh, what if we do zero this out real quick? And then still not quite right, but close enough for jazz. Okay, so that one's good. And obviously the spacing and stuff on these would change over time. So we got this little naughty friend down here. So what is going on? Is it that these are not being childed? Ah, okay. So that would be part of the adventure editor GUI. And the problem there is that it is parenting yeah, so I guess in this case the actual parent it should be taking is the adventure slot container. Although that would mess up the toggling. Ah. So the question becomes, is there a particular reason? Right, it would want to be there so that okay, well we can, for this particular one, have a that's fine. And we can come back to it later. Not the end of the world. Yes, there we go. And then next, we would want a way to go from this screen back. Because if we hit this button again, we find that it was toggling on and off the GUI for the adventure book list, but it is not toggling on and off the whatever is currently going on, like this whole shebang, as they say. So in that sense, I think there needs to be an adventure book parent that basically goes through, and when it should be on, it will turn on just this one and turn off the other two. And if it's off, it would turn off all three. Adventure editor, adventure selection, adventure selection. Yeah, so then we'd have adventure book. And we go down, hit play. Now these other things could survive without the adventure book, but I would argue that the adventure book cannot survive without its children. That is an acceptable list. Okay, so we're gonna put all three of them, which is the adventure list, the adventure editor, and then the adventurer editor. Or is it a selector? No, it's an editor. No, it's a list. Ooh. You might say, why are you doing this instead of grabbing their rect transforms or something? Well, I would like to go through the classes themselves if I need to for anything in particular. And so we would have a toggle book GUI, and part of this would be if it's on or off, I suppose. So by default, it is not visible. Toggle our target. So if you are trying to toggle it on, we'll do private void make book visible. Private void make book invisible. So you could do this a couple ways, obviously. I haven't done a switch in a while, so you know what? I'm going to do that. They actually have a new fancier way to do switches, which is, what is the syntax for that? We might as well do it once for fun. It's called a switch expression. And I believe it, I say believe it, I'm literally looking at it right now. So let's see here. Is visible. Hold on. So we got is visible switch true false. Is that it? Did I miss anything? What's the complaint? Clearly I missed something, so I'm just looking. No, wasn't that? Okay. I wanna do it. Open up all the tutorials. Ah, okay. Okay, so you can base it off of... So you can do it as a return statement. It looks like you can have it coming off of... Yeah, that's still a return statement. So maybe that's the only way you can use it. Okay, I will come back to that. I'm clearly missing something. Looks like it might be something you mostly do for return. So we'll just do it the old-fashioned way, which you're already seeing. So if it's true, then we would make the book visible. And if it is false, we will make the book invisible. And we're going to slap in a few breakpoints. And probably actually do that correctly. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, if it is being made visible, then we know that we want the adventure list. Oh, we should actually adjust this. Currently, toggle canvas is just literally what it does. What I'm curious about is if I want it to not be that. So what we could do here is we set this up as the toggle target, right? And then we could say for state equals null if for state does not equal null, then toggle target equals bool for state, and that'll allow us to force the state. Easy peasy. So then we go back. We'll say toggle canvas true. And then we gotta adjust some things. False. Whoops. Editor. And then if we're making them all invisible, there we go. Otherwise, I don't believe we need to do anything fancy with sending events or anything like that. It'll be listening for an event, which will be the event that is currently whoops. Oh, right. We need to do this a little bit differently. So we're actually going to have just two separate functions. And down here. Yeah, we'll space this real quick. Not that that matters, because I'm going to Control Z a bunch. Okay. Okay. So if we're toggling it on, yeah, let's go in here. All right, that looks good. That looks good. That should make this function still correct. Yep. And then over here, all of those are now correct again. They were breaking because the fact that I was passing a nullable through, it was getting very unhappy. That's fine. So then next, we need to go in, check the debug canvas for those buttons that we're turning on. Room selection GUI, and then the adventure book. Adventure on button pressed. We can click play, and then see here immediately what is listening, which is the adventure list. go here. And actually, oh, interesting. So when I press that, they're all three turning on? No. Ah, because that's on adventure selected, and then this is on button pressed. Right. Okay, we're good. So we will want to adjust this in some way, but for now, let's remove the event it's listening for and come up here and add it here. And we'll just say, whoops. It's actually supposed to go here. And so what we will do is grab this event, bring it up here so it's near its brother. And toggle book. And we just need to do the connections for the children. So those are all good. And obviously the initialization call for this is not happening. But we can make that happen. Okay. So now we click, it opens up. If we click it again, it closes. Close, reopen, close, reopen. Ooh. Go to this window, click it again, hides it, opens the original. Okay. Very nice. All right. And then obviously these don't quite do anything yet. And we still want a way to go back. And we can do that by a number of ways, really. Just trying to think of the cleanest. Obviously, it would be by adding a button here somewhere. Maybe even like right here. When you click it, would take you back to the initial state, which is obviously this state right here. Yeah. Well, we can do that real quick, and then I will probably leave it at that. So we'll turn on this. And inside this container, we're going to add a TextMesh Pro button. I wonder if we can switch the art. Is there any squares? No, because I don't have plastic at the moment, and that's where a lot of those images are. That's fine. So let's call that back. Come in here a little bit. We're actually going to make... Ooh, am I grabbing the wrong part? No, it's just the text is a peculiar scale given the button itself. You would think that it would be the same size as the button. There we go. There we go. Could be cancel if not back, but... and then we need to add a new game event. Return to adventure list. Easy peasy. Get on that button. So it'll raise when it's clicked. And then we can go back to the adventure book. And adventure selected. There it is. And that would be this one. Honestly, we could just call make book visible again. Is that private? Needs to be public. Oh, that's cute. You can't see it, but they add a 1 if you have the same component on something twice. I think the next thing I might do is actually go through, as a tool, I mean, go through and make a version of the game event listener that is the game events listener, and you just add an arbitrary number of events and responses. I think that'd be pretty cool. Did I not save? I did. Oh, well, you gotta actually look at the correct... There we go. Okay, so then we can go down and close this. That's what you can hear the song. Show adventure book, pick an adventure, click back, pick an adventure, click back, pick an adventure, debug, Great Woods, debug, Great Woods. All right. Cool. Yeah. I think that does indeed cover that. So that's at the 53-minute mark. Okay. We'll say 55 just so when I go to edit it'll be easier. Gonna probably switch over to a game now, but if you're watching here, thanks for watching here. If you're watching on YouTube at a later date, thanks for watching there. And as always, have a nice day.